Welcome to Front Office Pros. I'm Steve and this is Joe, and we've been talking about some prominent trades that have taken place over the trade deadline, and now we're here to talk about linebacker Roquan Smith. He is now no longer a Chicago Bear, and he's heading over to the Baltimore Ravens for a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick and A.J. Klein. Joe, what are our thoughts about Roquan Smith heading to Baltimore?
Yeah, honestly, Steve, I'm still confused. As far as what the Bears are doing, I mean, they got a 25-year-old linebacker that's an absolute stud. Know they've had their issues coming to agreement with, long term and extending him. I ultimately understand that's why they did trade him because they just didn't think they could come to terms with him. But I just don't understand how they don't come to terms with this guy and just pay him. I mean, guy's a top linebacker in the league. Pretty much has been right from his rookie year. I mean, the guy's just been absolutely impressive. I don't know, maybe he doesn't fit the Eberflus system, but I kind of figured how to take a great player and make him fit in my system. I don't know. But for the Ravens, honestly, um, they get an absolute stud to pair along with Patrick Queen, another young linebacker who's kind of bad and up and down. Maybe he learns a couple of some things with Roquan and playing alongside of him and kind of get that Roquan take him under his wing a little bit. Or, they're just ready to move on with Roquan in the future and not necessarily pay Patrick Queen once his rookie contract's up.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
from
sure.
an IDP individual defensive player standpoint for fantasy, I don't. I mean, I don't think this changes much for Roquan Smith. I mean, Roquan Smith, over the past few years, has been, you know, just dominating in the league as far as the stat category with tackles, alongside Bobby Wagner. I mean, he's been a top of the line linebacker for a long time.
I was
I
gonna say the Bobby Wagner is the only guy who has more tackles over the last 4 years.
There you go. So I mean, yeah, I mean exactly. So to me, I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm perplexed too. I mean, we've talked about this before when it comes to the linebacker position. There is definitely a drop off when it comes to linebackers. And Roquan Smith was one of those elite guys that is worth getting paid. And, I know you mentioned the thing about, does he fit in Eberflus' system? But, I mean, he's already been performing really well this year. I mean, he hasn't really skipped a beat. So I don't really understand, other than I know he is negotiating the contract on his own. Maybe he is commanding way too much money and, polls and that front office, they just don't want to give it to him. I find that very surprising. But as for the Baltimore side, I mean, this follows the legacy and the pedigree that they've had with just stud linebackers. And I think he's going to fit right in. Now, it's interesting, Joe. He is going to be going from a 4-3 to a 3-4, but he was in a 3-4 before, I believe, because they switched to a 4-3 when Eberflus came in. So he should go back to what he normally was doing before. I don't expect a drop off at all.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't expect. I mean, I don't care what you run a 3-4-4-3. I don't care. I mean, either way, the guy's not going to forget how to tackle somebody. He's a stud, man. And here we go. The Ravens just get to keep boosting their defense. I don't know how they always seem to pull it off, but they always seem to get these elite players. And like you mentioned, especially at the linebacker level, just amazing.
Well, he'll get extended. I would be shocked. I mean, I know
Oh,
I heard Adam Schefter say, well, they could get a third round compensatory pick even if he leaves. I don't know. I mean, you don't make that type of move not to be able to retain that guy.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, you don't make a power move like that and to get this guy not to have him for years to come.
Now, on the Chicago side, does this mean that you should pick up Jack Sanborn in our Dynasty Fantasy Football League, Joe?
Well, Steve, ironically enough, he was on my minor squad at one point this year, and then I had a clear space and I did drop him. But hey, Sanborn, you're laughing, but he actually looked pretty good in the preseason. So maybe, hey, he's definitely worth a flyer, especially if you have minors spots in your league. Yeah, I'd take a flyer on him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for us, that's, in other words, people use taxi squad, or we like to call them, our practice squad. But I mean, he's an undrafted guy. I don't think, you do see defensive players who are undrafted who turn into something. I think they'll end up And then they got Nick Morrow, who, he's kind of just a placeholder. I think they'll probably draft somebody that Eberflus, really covets for his defense. Obviously, he had Darius Leonard or Shaquille Leonard over in Indianapolis. I think that's a pretty important cornerstone of his defense. So it could be interesting, at least for this year anyways.
Yeah, good luck, Eberflus, finding somebody as talented as Roquan Smith.
Yeah,
That's all I got to say.
I know. It's just crazy. It's one of those trades where you see, who knows, maybe someone would say that this was a good trade, but when like Khalil Mack, I feel like got traded from the Raiders and went to the Bears, it was like, yeah, they got a good amount for him, but it's like, it's Khalil Mack. I don't know. Like sometimes it's just like, it's a proven commodity that you're traded. But I guess, I don't know. Now I'm walking back though. I mean, Jamal Adams was traded and they, Jets got a ton for him. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think he'll continue to do well in Baltimore though.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they know how to use these guys. I think he's going to still perform at the same elite level, if not be more impactful. Maybe I don't know if they're going to use him more in coverage or something, but if he does, it's just opportunity for more fantasy points in IDP leagues for sure.
Now on the Baltimore side, I have concern for Queen. Queen's been up and down. He is, Roquan's a tackling machine. I think that takes away some of his tackling opportunities. Who knows if the Ravens are picking up his fifth-year option, and I don't think he'll stay with the team. I think Queen will be moving on. Obviously you saw CJ Mosley, another guy who they invested a lot in. He moved on. How are you feeling about Queen? Do you think they can coexist?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to coexist in the future. I mean, like you said, they've kind of been up and down on Queen. I think Queen's a very talented player. Like them coming out of the draft, especially playing at LSU. But yeah, I mean, I think you don't trade for Roquan, like we said, to not have him in the future, and this could easily be the replacement for Patrick Queen here.
So that's our breakdown of the trade of Roquan Smith heading over to the Baltimore Ravens. And, we are a new channel. So if you really are enjoying this content, please, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell as we are creating more videos. And please send us a comment. Maybe you disagree with us. Go ahead, put a comment on there. We'd love to interact with new people and what we're saying. So thank you so much for watching. And if you like watching this, we've got a couple more trade videos that we're reacting to. So watch a few more, and until next time.